And you realize that because you have said that the witness is your daughter, that if there was any kind of like civil action over this, the daughter would have to be deposed. Is that really what you want? This daughter that's already in the public eye because the accusation that you've given her cocaine, you're going to want her to get deposed by by two lawyers in a room to talk about whether the nanny was getting crunk? The daughter now. So good job, Nick. Because you set off this chain of events, assuming there is any kind of procedure, even if there are no charges or anything, the first person that's going to get deposed is the daughter, and it's because you decided to turn this into internet content. Yeah, because of the coercive power of the state is being weaponized against Joker patriots. Look at this. look. I every time I look at this, the Joker painting, I'm like, what are you telling the world, man? Because I think there's only one person in this story who might get what they fucking deserve, you know? But back on the online Serengeti battlefield, the endless summer of American culture, we have Nick Rekieta, who's decided to punch up at his nanny. And I say punch up because, you know, I'm not going to go over Nick's whole history. I assume that if you're listening to this, you know about Nick. But the nanny was, he had a nanny for a little while, and then eventually she left under mysterious circumstances. And then when the warrant came out, that was the justification for the search, she was one of the material witnesses to justify the search warrant. So you know that Rekieta has been sitting on all this dirt that he wants to throw at her, but didn't during the actual, you know, court proceedings because you don't want to attack a witness, right? I'm surprised he had that much self-control considering all the other stupid shit he said. But basically, the accusation seems to be that he's saying his nanny gave his kids alcohol and also paid them $75 to drink Monster. So he a couple days ago, he was tweeting out just, you know, some really classical, you know, like high school debate class type arguments like, who cares, bro? Who cares? I potentially am giving my kids drugs and are not taking care of them. Who cares, right? And I just think it's so funny that like this "who cares" argument is next to him saying "tu quoque," like this is freaking Jay Dyer debating Voice of Reason on Orthodox versus Catholic and S's and energies. It's like "tu quoque, bro, tu quoque," right next to "who cares." Proving a negative isn't really possible. It's one of the really frustrating parts of the situation. See, here's the thing though, Rekieta, and he should know this because he's a lawyer, right? Is the entire claim that he gave cocaine to his daughter is based off of a very specific and distinct document that comes from the social services department in his state. So no one's really asking him to prove a negative. They're just asking him to discredit that document. Because necessarily that's what you'd have to do because it is the singular piece of evidence. So obviously this is just like cope. Well, here's just some more of these copes. It's obviously true from watching his live streams. He doesn't regret anything except for being caught. And, you know, he's basically outright said that multiple times. Now, you could also point to some times where he's attempted to make apologies, but they're always very conditional. Now, what Nick might say is, well, I don't owe you guys an apology. I owe apology to my family. The problem is that I think that what comes across is that you haven't even apologized to them, considering that after all this occurred, he was still carrying on with April. This isn't at all accurate. I regret a lot, but sitting and wallowing in it isn't useful. Living isn't about reliving a past you can't change. Laugh and move. Live, laugh, love. Also, drugs are fun. Sorry, that's why people do them. It's true. Wine, it's not worth it, but the experience you have still happened. They became part of the story, just like anything else. And yes, a lot of good memories happen from bad decisions. Basically, I don't know, whenever he writes tweets like this, it's like he's trying to give like a speech at the end of a movie. But so I agree that obviously you don't want to like live a life of eternal guilt, of quiet desperation, right? But part of contrition is there has to be a cost. This is why, like in Catholicism, you do confession. This is why in some Protestant denominations, they even make you confess publicly. Because there has to be a cost, a social cost to like doing something wrong. And then you have to change your behavior. And I think that like, it's clear that especially when it comes to substance abuse, like there's just so much Nick does that comes across as like drunk energy. And you know what? As if Nick was my neighbor or my friend or something, I would have a problem with that. But he's not. He's just some idiot online. So I think that he should do a mountain of coke and then he should stream every night. If he did the appeal stream every day, he would be a millionaire again, because that shit was Kino as fuck.
The former nanny, by the way, that bitch, I've been finding out, she gave my 11-year-old alcohol. She paid, when my daughter had a friend over to stay the night, she paid each of them $75 to chug 2 Monster energy drinks in a row.
What?
What would the purpose of that be?
She paid each of them $75. She paid,
I get it. Yeah.
when my energy drinks in a row.
What?
Yeah, finding out about this shit has been really nice. But yeah.
Oh,
she stole she stole my liquor like crazy.
Why? I mean, this lady's been doxxed, right? So I don't really feel bad asking this, but how old, we know how old this nanny is, right? Because if we know how old she, is it she's not 21, so she steals the liquor thing? Because, I think any normal person, anyone who hasn't been on an internet forum since they were 14, didn't have a father, and, I don't know, I'm talking about Josh. Anyone like that probably has experience with stealing their parents' liquor when they were 14, right? Or not 14.
I thought it was
17, 16.
Someone else. And I actually I griped at the person who I thought was drinking the alcohol. I was because
my first suspect would be your 16-year-old son.
And I thought it was someone else. And it turns out she would just, I've been finding this out from my kids. She would just go up into our bedroom and just pound down liquor sitting in bed. And that's how she was nannying our children. So.
Okay. If your nanny was pounding down liquor while she was with the kids, you would know. Because the kids would mention something about that. They would say what the fuck? Right? The nanny's off her bloody rocker again, right? No, I think that and I'm even giving him the benefit of the doubt that this is even true, right? Is that if she was taking liquor, she was taking it to go party with her friends or whatever after.
So it's been nice to learn about. I might report her to the police. I don't know.
What a bitch. It's so funny that this guy, his whole argument after the swatting was, this is the coercive power of the state coming after me for being one of Joe Biden's biggest detractors. They're coming for me. Cue patriots are go, right? That was his whole argument. He's never cooperate with the state. And now he's well, I need every last drop of my liquor, and I think that my nanny was stealing it, and I'm going to have to report her to the police for that. I think it's of a theft value of $100. Whoa. Yeah, Worski tier babysitting? Dude, Worski tier babysitting is just to kill him. He wouldn't be getting, he wouldn't just be getting drunk and not watching the kids. He would aim at them, dude.
Here's this, what's the name of nanny? Better people know who she is.
So this is him restating the claims. All right.
I said her name was Cheney earlier. People can go back and find it. I don't care. Like I said, I don't want people to...
Okay, so here's her full name. Please don't harass her. Also, she abused my kids. Bro, just... Again, I hate to... Well, I don't hate to, but this is another moment where, Ralph's self-knowledge somehow makes him look better, because it's Ralph would have no compunctions about just coming on here and being here's her full name, her social security number, the name of everybody she's ever dated, her parents, every address she's ever lived at, and I don't want you just to harass her. I want her gone, logs. He would just do that, and obviously, going to that level is deranged and everything, but I somehow think it's more... It's better than this. It's better than this, where the only people that are left in Nick Rekieta's quarter, the Baldo Washer, the Baldo Brigade, in the Baldo Bunker, these are the guys who are SS Obersturmfuhrer top guys. They believe in Steiner's attack. So if you tell them her full name and say he abused my kids, they're gonna do shit.
Well, to harass her or anything like that, I don't think there's any grounds for that. Yeah, I just have no qualm or issue now with people knowing what she did. I mean, my daughter's telling me these stories, and I'm fucking horrified. It's absolutely insane.
Okay, wait a... Now you may say, well, at least he's providing a witness, right? He's saying my daughter told me, right? Okay, that makes your claim stronger. Here's the problem. Now your daughter's in this. Is this the same daughter that supposedly, according to a public document, or at least a official government document, you gave cocaine? And I said this on Twitter to him, but there's literally as much proof as your nanny giving your kids alcohol as you giving them cocaine. Why would you intentionally why are you putting these claims next to each other? The I gave my kid a cocaine claim and the she gave alcohol claim, because they're the same level of proof, right? He's the, if anything, I guess the cocaine one has more proof because there's a public document. Whereas with this, your witness is the last person you should be dragging into this, because that's anyone who's deranged, who's crazy, who wants to go after this now is going to be questioning the reliability of your daughter, the one that potentially you gave cocaine.
One of the last conversations we had with her was when, we were out of town for a couple days. She was watching the kids, and she called up. She called up Lady Raggets in the...
The nanny was an FBI plant, for real. Yeah, because of the coercive power of the state is being weaponized against Joker patriots. Look at this. Look. I every time I look at this, the Joker painting, I'm like, what are you telling the world, man? Because I think there's only one person in this story who might get what they fucking deserve, you know?
It would have been the middle of the day. Because yeah, we were at a convention, so we're talking before 5 o'clock, and she was it was about 9 o'clock. It was about 9 o'clock, so it was safe, And she was calling us from our bedroom, which is where she would stay when she stayed with the kids. No problem with that. And then she's calling us from our bedroom, obviously, critically.
What? Wait, she would stay in your bedroom? Because there was all this claims that the nanny was part of the cover, right? That was one of the original claims, was that the nanny quit because there was some kind of breakup. And now you're saying that she sleeps in your bed? The same bed that you've also said, you, Aaron... I said Adam earlier, I don't know why. Aaron and April were splayed naked with coke everywhere and the door open and the laundry not done?
Intoxicated. And it was pretty disconcerting to have that happen. But, she was a nanny and she was watching the kids, but we also have a 17-year-old, so I'm not super concerned if anybody needed anything. They had siblings to be there as well. But, this is someone that we paid. I mean, her annual income was well north of $50,000 plus expenses.
Yeah, remember the when he used to complain about how the babysitter would spend $3,000 a week on groceries
from our payments alone. I mean, and if she had a couple side gigs that she would do where she would tell us that she wasn't available for certain days or whatever because she had another job, so she earned extra money there. Oh, and I say plus expenses; those expenses were over $30,000 for the year too. So all told, about $90,000 of money went towards this person annually. Like I said, when she left.
Wait, did you see how that changed? It went from she's making $50K plus expenses to she's making $90K.
Her employment. She left at one of the worst possible times.
It's like the Jewish meme. It's $50. What do you mean I owe you $30?
In the middle of the school year, that was that required some days 3 drivers. Just because of the kids.
He's got a presidential convoy to get his kids to school. 3 drivers. You got the Mustang in front, Suburban, and no, it can't be a Suburban because otherwise they could fit them all in that car.
Having different activities in different places at the same time. Abandoning us at that point, when we asked her to stay and finish out the school year, and she said no. Abandoning us at that point was absolutely brutal, and it was devastating to our schedule. It added tons of stress. It made me unable to stream
I had to actually be a parent and drive my kids to school. This is another case where Nick wants to have his cake and eat it too, because one of his biggest complaints is about how what do you say, he drives 200 miles a day for his kids. He says that to explain why. What really is happening is that because he's an alcoholic, he sleeps a lot, because 90% of his sleep is not real sleep. It's not effective sleep. So he has to come up with reasons why he's never around or can't do stuff. And so his excuse is that he drives 200 miles a day. But it's the babysitter's is doing all the driving. Also, I am too busy because I'm driving all the time. And her quitting was devastating.
For a significant amount of time. And, to find out that she was doing that while being extremely intoxicated and while giving one of our children alcohol. Now, a lot of the expenses were because they, it was groceries and stuff for the house and food for the kids. after they got picked up from an activity if they wanted to.
Like surely he knows that, because there's going to be talk later about the nanny taking legal action and getting a lawyer, which that's the other reason this is so stupid. This claim is so stupid because there are people just sitting waiting for him to make like potentially defamatory claims like this so they can throw money behind the alleged victim. So like I guarantee this nanny is not going to have to pay a single dime if she like actually makes any legal whatever. She's not going to actually pay any of it. And you realize that because you have said that the witness is your daughter, that if there was any kind of like civil action over this, the daughter would have to be deposed. Is that really what you want? This daughter that's already in the public eye because the accusation that you've given her cocaine, you're going to want her to get deposed by by two lawyers in a room to talk about whether the nanny was getting crunk?
To go grab fast food on the way home and stuff like that. Kind of ridiculous.
Like, haven't you put your family through enough, buddy? And the other problem with that is we're not going to be able to be there to watch it. They'll probably seal it, so it won't even make good content.
Ridiculous. I also will publicly say, because some people have asked so far in the chat, that there was never anything, any inappropriate or untoward activity with her at all during any of her employment, including like drugs or we never.
Yeah, I'm sure, buddy.
Drank alcohol with her. We never. She was obviously not involved and had no knowledge of the drug stuff at all. She stated that
the cops said that there was like paraphernalia everywhere. There was an ounce of coke, there was scales, there was all this shit. And you're telling me the nanny, who is like a 24-hour resident of the place, wouldn't have known that drugs? Oh my god!
To the police as well, I believe, if I remember her interview correctly, and I will happily back her up and say that she had no knowledge of that activity and should not be in any way accused with or associated with it. That was not on her at all, and I would not have people misunderstand that.
I love how he portrays that like he's doing her a favor.
Did was what she did. It had nothing to do with what I was doing. Buckmaster says, now that police know, they don't need you to report. If she did give your kids alcohol, anyone can report her and police can charge her. I don't have a lot of interest in re-traumatizing my child by re-exposing her to the nanny who did this stuff.
I mean, you will if you get sued for making these claims, which you should know is a possibility.
Really don't. It'd be a hard case to prove anyway. It's he said, she said. My child would have to testify for that. I'm not
exactly.
really. I said I'm not really interested in that. I don't care. I'm more concerned that her.
I don't care.
Employers
Don't make the claim.
No, and we have made her current.
Like you're making the decision for your daughter to expose this publicly.
Employers aware of it because her new employers are. She does the same job for them, so obviously we would want them to know. The most banned queen says lying.
So then why wouldn't you just contact them? Why wouldn't you just call them and keep this completely offline?
Degenerate piece of shit. Okay. We'll start off that way. Anyone not on drugs knows you and your coked out wife should have realized what your nanny was doing. How? How would you propose to realize that your nanny gave your child alcohol?
The same way you know now, which is that your kid told you, because it should be obvious. Again, what is this ontology? This is like some Buddhist ass, like there is no higher power, nothing exists ontology, where it's like, I didn't know it was happening, but that's why I definitely know now.
Well, when neither of them said that, and they did it while you were away. What is your proposed method of me having to know that? It's not like she got her drunk while we were there. She didn't. She never gave her.
You just said that she was drunk in the house. The whole claim is that she was getting wasted in your bedroom. What the fuck? You can't even keep it straight on one stream.
My knowledge, she gave her alcohol like one time, which is still completely unacceptable and it's still a crime. But it's not like she got her like drunk and it wasn't something that she did on a regular basis. I think she got drunk and made a stupid decision, thought it would be funny or something like, harmless. But it's not harmless, right? Again, I'm not criticizing.
Yeah, tell us about the harms of giving substances to kids, Nick. Go off.
Other parents who've done that, I think I grew up in the 80s and like I said, a lot of kids had tried a sip or two of beer in their life by the time they were their parents doing that, their parents' decisions to do that. And it was also, I think at the time it was less frequently illegal, or it might have been completely legal for a parent to do it, especially in the state of Texas where I was. But yeah, it's hard to realize something's going on when it happens entirely when you're not around, which is the purpose of having a nanny, is that someone to be there, like rather than finding a babysitter every single time, you just have someone who you can rely on to.
So I guess the only way this makes sense is the nanny was getting wasted at the house when they weren't there. And the daughter knew about it, knew that, and obviously because the daughter was supposedly offered alcohol. But the daughter says nothing. Doesn't say anything when the parents start doing drugs. Doesn't say anything after the nanny is fired. Doesn't say anything until recently, out of nowhere. It's like, by the way.
To be there for your kids, especially that was there's a lot of travel that year. for work.
Travel that year, 3,000 miles a day.
Did four live shows, I think. 4 live shows, and then I have a general other travel that happened throughout the year as well. So she was with the kids a significant amount of time. That was her job. It was to allow me to do mine. Why would you give it to the 11-year-old but not the 17? Well, I have my theories about that, but I don't. I'm not going to get into those too much. They just involve the interpersonal relationships between the kids, which are each kid has their own relationship with someone, right? Like they're not a
poor choice of words. Very poor choice of words.
They're not a monolith. That's the expression I was looking for. They're not a monolith. So I would assume it just was because she thought either she could or that it would be better. Her relationship with that child was particularly complicated.
So there's a story where apparently Nick Rekieta brought a bunch of Coke to Aaron's house when his kids are there, and he left like a bullet, like a little container of Coke in the sofa, and one of the kids found it, and that made Aaron like super angry, understandably. To be clear, this guy is literally as bad as Nick Rekieta, if not, well, he's not worse, because he's at least attempted a redemption arc. I'm not going to say he succeeded. He's also just kind of a loser.
Boot cakes indeed.
I mean, he's literally a cuck, so right, yeah.
Busy. We're gonna do this whole. Someone says, "Oh yeah," and Rekieta has lost his ever-loving mind. I will say something real quick in defense of the nanny. I saw some Alyssa clips and things. Nick's coping again, attacking people who escaped him and got out of his narcissistic orbit. And
narcissistic orbit. This guy is the raped. This guy talks like the raped.
He's injured and try to hurt people. And I think he knows that body cam's coming out, so he's lashing out. He finally admitted that he left a bullet of cocaine next to him.
Oh yeah, supposedly the body cam's coming out. We've been, for the millionth time, we've been told that. I'm gonna choose to believe it happens because it's gonna happen because I'm an optimist.
My daughter, he finally admitted that. And the king of projection says, Aaron's changed that story like 15 times. No, Nick, that was you. You're the one who changed that story 15 times. Mine's always been the same. You're an irresponsible junkie loser who couldn't keep track of his cocaine and didn't care if a kid's got a hold of it, which yours did and tested positive 10 times the cutoff. But now he's saying shit about their old nanny Cheney. And let me just say this. She was the best parent those kids had while she was there.
Okay.
She was an incredible hard worker.
So here's what I don't understand, though, is Nick's going to make a claim that Aaron's talking out his ass here because he like barely knew the nanny. And I hate to defend Nick, but there's some timeline issues with Aaron claiming to know the nanny well, because the nanny got fired at a certain point, and I'm pretty sure the nanny got fired around the time Aaron and Nick started like really hanging out. So I would actually kind of believe that maybe he didn't, he wasn't like personal friend. He didn't see the nanny all the time.
She put up with a lot of bullshit. Nick's coping out loud to anyone who will listen. And those two parasocial broads are the worst parents I've ever met in my life. They have no instinct to defend children whatsoever. And I hope their kids get away from them as quickly as they can, because those two women are, they're the...
What, really? I would not go that far.
Women who become pen pals with murderous felons because Mama I can change them. They have no sense of defense of the innocent. They're clout goblins, and they're horrible.
I hate this guy. The way he's talking about this is so gay.
People, and to platform that kind of slander of a decent human being. I
know I just said last stream I can't like muster hate for any of these people because I don't know them. I still stand by that. I just mean, like, he's just so off-putting the way he talks about this stuff.
Low. The fact that I live so rent-free in their head and I own their every move to the point where they would put that low-life horseshit on. I didn't think I could have less respect for them, but now I do. But no, let's keep it to Cheney. I will give my official statement since he dragged her name through the mud. She was an amazing human being. She was a superwoman. She never gave...
She was like a rip Cheney.
any kids alcohol, as Nick said. Nick gave his kid drugs, but she never gave a kid alcohol. That's Nick's way of coping with the fact that he fucked up and he can't admit it. She's a very good person. When she left, that house was in shambles. They didn't know what to do. Nick would bitch.
Yeah, well, Nick did kind of confirm that. He said it was a disaster after she left.
About it constantly. Shit, I would take time off of my show to give rides. And because the guy had no parental instincts. He's a horseshit parent. And Cheney carried the load. And she left.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree. It seems to be clear that when she's sleeping in their bed, when they're, quote, not there, that she was definitely carrying Rekieta's load.
Surprise, surprise, those of you who are NLO fans who have decided Aaron's the biggest piece of shit, so I have to think that Nick's good. Nick was lying again. Cheney was our nanny for about 6 years. I saw the videos. She would never, ever do anything like that. That's from her former employer, James Roberts, from a law firm in St. Cloud.
Amazing.
A reputable, a real lawyer this time.
It is funny that he has that, because like my whole issue with the last video is that he like discredits his own testimony by being so over the top. But at least he's got someone else. He's lucky he had that email because, like I said, his previous video, like he discredits his own testimony with the way he talks about this stuff.
Okay. It looks like I was asked if I could give a statement because apparently somebody reported what Nick was saying about Cheney. And now I guess somebody from the county wants to talk to me now about what I know about the situation. So
great. Okay. So assuming he's not like totally exaggerating here, because he's also said all this shit about the hack thing and that's moving forward. Obviously what Rekieta did there was like really, really bad. And it would be really funny if there ends up being consequences for that. But I don't know. He's kind of look at what a pause. Look at his face. It's just like this guy got to fuck your wife.
oh, there you go. I mean, look, he's going to run his mouth right into a jail cell. I mean, people will tell him, but you know, he never sleeps. He's up tweeting all day.
So yeah, they're going to have to question the daughter now. So good job, Nick. Because you set off this chain of events, assuming there is any kind of procedure, even if there are no charges or anything, the first person that's going to get deposed is the daughter. And it's because you decided to turn this into internet content.
Your nanny and what she exposed your kid to. Did you contact law enforcement and CPS? Sounds
no, because he's not a snitch, even though the first clip we watched, he said he might contact law enforcement. This guy is like full on don't cooperate with the state except for when he thinks he can get a win, and then it goes back to it when he gets caught on why it's stupid.
like abuse. I found out about these things long after our nanny had left, well over a year after that the alleged incidents occurred. So no, my children were no longer in any danger from this person. So no, I have not contacted CPS or law enforcement about.
Yeah, well, the problem is when you speak about it publicly on this platform, explicitly for the purpose of discrediting her so that she can't get jobs, which is what he said in that one clip. He said, I'm just doing this so that the employers know. It's like, well, okay, now there is going to be movement on that.
At it. I might. I haven't decided if I will or not.
Okay, so great. You think that would be a decision you want to make before you blast it online, right?
Within the statute of limitations. So Eric Duff says, because it's a lie. Well, it isn't. Don't. Toe is claiming he has been called by the county for nanny info. It's really surprising. You would think that they would call me, right? The parent of the child involved. But instead, no, they've run to the the authority on it, the person who hasn't been here in quite some time. You know, they're going to run to him to see what he.
So this is more cope. He got into a fight about it online last night on Twitter. Just blasting it more so that further increasing the probability that your daughter is going to have to do a deposition.